My wife and her family skipped my parents' funeral for a party, then demanded $50,000 for her brother's lavish wedding. They saw me as their personal ATM, a grieving man they could easily exploit. I told them I would come to the wedding and bring a gift. But the gift I presented in front of all their guests wasn't a check. It was a speech that exposed their greed and left the entire family in ruins. The day my parents passed away, I stood frozen in front of their coffins. My wife, my 2 daughters, and my entire in-law family. Not a single one of them showed up. They were busy hosting a barbecue to plan the wedding of my wife's younger brother. The very next day, they called me to their house and coldly said, "Jonathan's wedding needs to be grand. You need to contribute $50,000. I thought I had hit rock bottom, but on the day of the wedding, I prepared a gift that left their entire family stunned. My name is Calvin Monroe. I'm 33 years old, living in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm just an ordinary guy working as a manager at a suburban gas station, working hard to provide for my wife, Scarlett, and our 2 daughters, Ella and Madison. Ella is 8, with golden hair and a love for school, while 5-year-old Madison is shy, but with a smile that lights up the world. I always thought our simple family was a complete and happy home. But life, as I learned, never warns you before it knocks you down. One gray October day, I was behind the counter at the gas station when my phone rang. A deep, solemn voice introduced himself as a police officer. "Are you Calvin Monroe, son of Leo and Eloise Monroe?" My heart stopped. My parents were on their way from Columbia to visit us, bringing homemade marmalade and old toys for the girls. "Yes," I managed to say. "I'm very sorry," the officer said, his voice steady. "Your parents were in a car accident on I-26. They didn't make it. The world encased me in ice. I don't remember hanging up, only driving to the morgue in a blur. The facility was cold, reeking of antiseptic. An employee pulled back 2 white sheets. There they were. My dad, Leo, his kind smile gone. My mom, Eloise, her face pale, her eyes closed as if in a deep sleep. I stood there, tears streaming down my cheeks, a part of me dying alongside them. As an only child, everything fell on my shoulders. I began making the calls, my voice hollow. The last call was to Scarlett. I needed her. When she answered, I heard laughter and music in the background. "Calvin, what's wrong?" she asked, her tone light and rushed. I took a deep breath. "Scarlett, my parents, they were in an accident. They're gone. The funeral's this weekend." There was a pause. Then she said, her voice flat, "Oh my God, Calvin. I'm so sorry. But this weekend I'm really busy. My parents are throwing a barbecue to plan Jonathan's wedding. The kids and I can't make it." A sharp pain stabbed through my chest. "A barbecue?" I repeated, my voice faltering. "Scarlett, this is my parents' funeral. I need you. I need our daughters." She sighed, as if I were a great inconvenience. "Calvin, you can handle it, right?" I hung up, my hand shaking uncontrollably. My wife, the woman I had been married to for 10 years, had just told me she was too busy for my parents' funeral. The morning of the funeral, the Charleston sky was a mournful gray. At the funeral home, 2 oak coffins stood adorned with white and yellow flowers, my mom's favorites. Friends and relatives of my parents began to arrive, their hugs and condolences a small comfort in a vast sea of grief. They shared stories of my parents' kindness, how my dad fixed a neighbor's roof in a storm, how my mom brought food to the sick. Each story was a beautiful, painful reminder of the people they were. But amid the crowd, there was a glaring void. Not Scarlett, not Ella or Madison. Not a single person from my wife's family was there. "Where's Scarlett, Calvin?" a neighbor asked softly. I mumbled an excuse about family matters, but the pity in her eyes was humiliating. When it was my turn to give the eulogy, I stepped up to the podium, my legs heavy as lead. "My parents," I began, tears already falling, "were ordinary people, but they lived extraordinary lives." I spoke of my dad working overtime to buy me new shoes, of my mom saving the best portions of food for us. I spoke of a childhood filled with love, not money. At the cemetery, as the coffins were lowered into the cold earth, I finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably, utterly alone. 3 days after the funeral, my father-in-law, Bruce, called. "Can you come by this afternoon?" he asked, his voice curt. I went, clinging to a faint hope they wanted to apologize. I stepped into their pristine living room. Scarlett and the girls were not there. "Let's get to the point," Bruce said coldly. Jonathan's getting married. We want to throw a grand wedding, one that reflects our family status. We need your help." I blinked, confused. "Help?" "Yes," he said, as if it were obvious. $50,000. You're part of this family. This is your responsibility." I sat stunned, speechless. My mother-in-law, Joanne, added, her voice sickly sweet, "Calvin, you don't have parents to support anymore, right? Your money should go to this family, to Jonathan's future." Her words were a knife in my heart. They were using my parents' death as leverage. I don't have that kind of money," I stammered. "Figure out," Bruce said with a shrug. I left their house in a daze, the rage and pain forming a storm inside me. When I got home, Scarlett and the girls were back. After the kids were upstairs, I confronted her. "Why didn't you come to the funeral?" She sighed, annoyed. "Funerals are just formalities, Calvin. Jonathan's wedding is about the family's future. I had to prioritize. And your parents demanding $50,000? You knew about that." She let out a bitter, mocking laugh. "Oh, come on, Calvin. You sound like a cheapskate. Don't you want my brother to have a decent wedding?" "My parents just died," I finally yelled. "I buried them alone while you were at a barbecue." Her face hardened, her voice turning to ice. "Your parents were nothing but poor nobodies, Calvin. What did they leave you? A rundown house? Jonathan's wedding is a chance for my family to rise. You should be proud to contribute." That was the final blow. 10 years of marriage vanished. I saw that she had never loved me, only what I could provide. I went upstairs, packed a bag, and hugged my daughters goodbye. "Daddy has something important to do," I whispered, fighting back tears. "I'll be back for you. I promise." I walked out the door, her mocking laughter echoing behind me. I ended up in a cheap motel, my life in a single bag. The days passed in a haze until one afternoon, a phone call changed everything. "Is this Calvin Monroe?" a man's voice asked. "I'm Robert Hayes, the attorney for Leo and Eloise Monroe." The next morning, I sat in his office. He slid a thick folder toward me. "Your parents purchased a life insurance policy over 15 years ago," he said gently. "They named you as the sole beneficiary. Once the paperwork is finalized, you'll receive approximately $800,000. I was stunned. $800,000. I thought of my parents' frugal lives, my mom skipping meals, my dad working overtime. They had been saving for my future all along. Tears welled in my eyes, not for the money, but for the depth of their love. "There's one more thing," Hayes said, handing me a pale yellow envelope. It was a letter from my parents. Back in my motel room, I opened it with trembling hands. "Dear Calvin, our beloved son," it began. "If you're reading this, we're no longer there to tell you how proud we are of you. Life isn't easy, son. There will be times when you feel hurt or trampled on. But remember, you are the son of Leo and Eloise Monroe. You are stronger than you know. Don't let anyone walk over you or make you forget your worth. We've left you this insurance, hoping it will help. Use it to build your life, to care for those you love, and to live true to yourself. We love you forever. Mom and Dad." I pressed the letter to my chest, the small flame of resolve inside me roaring to life. A few weeks later, a text from Scarlett arrived. "Jonathan's wedding is this Saturday. You need to be there. Don't embarrass my family." I smiled. I would go, and I would give them a gift they would never forget. The wedding was at a luxurious hotel. I walked in wearing the same black suit from my parents' funeral. Bruce glanced at me with disdain. "Heard you didn't contribute anything," he said loudly. Scarlett, stunning in a shimmering dress, ignored me completely. When the MC called me to the podium to give a toast, I walked up, microphone in hand. "I have a special wedding gift for Jonathan and for this family," I announced, signaling a hotel staffer to bring up a thick stack of documents. "This," I said, my voice calm and clear, "is what I've contributed to this family over the past 10 years. Invoices, receipts, proof of every dime. Family debts, Jonathan's tuition, monthly living costs, over $200,000, and not once did I receive a thank you." A shocked murmur rippled through the crowd. "When my parents passed away," I continued, looking straight at Bruce and Joanne, "not one person from this family attended their funeral. They chose to throw a barbecue to plan this wedding. They called my parents poor nobodies and demanded $50,000 for me right after I buried them. So today, this is my wedding gift, the truth about this family's greed." The hall erupted. Jonathan shot up, shouting. Bruce slammed the table. Scarlett stood frozen, her face a mask of humiliation. I placed the microphone down and walked out, leaving the chaos behind me. The next day, I filed for divorce, requesting full custody of my daughters. With the insurance money, I could prove my financial stability. I moved into a small, clean apartment and started a new life. I used the money wisely, setting up college fund for the girls and investing in a dream. My own small service company, built on the principles of honesty and kindness my parents had taught me. Slowly, I rebuilt my life. My business grew. I spent every possible moment with my daughters, telling them stories about the grandparents they barely knew. One afternoon, I took them to the cemetery. As we placed flowers on the graves, I read them my parents' letter. Ella, wise beyond her years, looked at me. Grandma and Grandpa were really good people, weren't they, Daddy? Yes, sweetheart, I said, my heart swelling with love. They were the best. Looking at my daughters, I knew I had kept my promise. I had risen from the ashes, stronger, and was building a life my parents would be proud of.